Today in Cannabis News, in South Dakota, the state's governor signs multiple medical cannabis bills into law. High-ranking U.S. government authorities and legislators ramp up pressure on Russia to release an American professional athlete following her jailing in the country for allegedly possessing cannabis. And a bipartisan team of U.S. Congress legislators introduce a proposal urging President Biden to persuade the United Nations to lift the global restriction on cannabis. It's Tuesday, March 22nd, and this is your Trichomes Morning Buzz.
Broadcasting live from the Trichomes.com studios in Southern California, it's time for your Morning Buzz. We bring you late-breaking news that keeps you up to date with what's happening in the cannabis industry.
First up, under a year following its enactment, South Dakota's recent medical cannabis legislation is being revised. Governor Kristi Noem has stated that she has approved a set of cannabis bills advanced by state legislators, which amend South Dakota's medical cannabis system laws. The proposals intend to create a safe and responsible medical cannabis program that is the most patient-focused in the country, according to a statement released by Governor Noem. SB 19 modifies the medical cannabis statute to enable nursing homes, rehab facilities, and psychiatric hospitals to impose cannabis usage limits inside their premises. SB 21 amends the medical cannabis statute to mandate the Department of Health to notify patients in writing if their medical cannabis registration card is rescinded. SB 24 sets a limit on how many cannabis plants a certified medical cannabis patient can have in their home at any given time to 4. SB 26 expands the range of medical practitioners who can approve patients as qualified for medical cannabis treatment to include doctor aides and registered nurses. SB 118 outlines the initial medicinal cannabis statute's evaluation criteria.
Next up, high-ranking U.S. government authorities and legislators are adding emphasis on Brittney Griner, an American Women's National Basketball Association athlete, to be released following her jailing in Russia for allegedly possessing cannabis vaping items. Last month, the professional basketball athlete was allegedly arrested with cannabis extract at a Moscow airport in Russia. She was taken into custody and is now incarcerated in a pretrial correctional center. Her incarceration was prolonged for another 2 months recently, up to mid-May, as authorities in the Eastern Europe and Northern Asia country continue to gather evidence. Despite a mounting drumbeat of outcry by legislators and activists, U.S. authorities have only just begun to urge for her return home. There's only so much I can say given the privacy considerations at this point. Let me just say more generally, whenever an American is detained anywhere in the world, we of course stand ready to provide every possible assistance, and that includes in Russia, said U.S. Secretary of State Antony Blinken to reporters recently. The Secretary of State went on to say that the Russians are required by international law to provide access to Griner. They have not. It has been denied, he stated. So we are working very hard on getting it, on being able to get access to her, to hear directly from her how she's doing, and to make sure we're doing everything we can to see to it that her rights are being respected and upheld in the Russian system and in terms of international law.
Last up, a bipartisan team of U.S. Congress legislators have introduced a proposition urging President Joe Biden to utilize his leverage to persuade the United Nations to lift the global restriction on cannabis by withdrawing it from an international drug agreement's roster of restricted drugs. The resolution was presented by Representative Nancy Mace and Barbara Lee as the UN's Commission on Narcotic Drugs concluded its session in Vienna, Austria last week. Cannabis was removed from Schedule 4, the most stringent global drug classification of the 1961 Single Convention by CND in 2020. However, it is still listed in Schedule 1, preventing participating UN countries from implementing federal cannabis legalization. The resolution highlights the sense of Congress that the United States representative to the UN Nations Commission on Narcotic Drugs should use the voice, vote, and influence of the United States to speak to deschedule cannabis from Schedule 1 of the Single Convention on Narcotic Drugs of 1961. And also urges U.S. authorities to call on the UN to expunge and forgive penalties relating to cannabis for prior offenders, and treat cannabis as a commodity similar to other agricultural commodities. That was today's Buzz. Thanks for listening. For more cannabis news and insights from industry professionals and a place to discuss these stories and others, visit trichomes.com.
And be sure to catch up with all of our other cannabis industry-related podcasts like Hash It Out, Tech and Cannabis, or the international cannabis conversation wherever you get your podcasts. For trichomes.com, I'm RJ Baldwin.
And I'm Devin Liao. Have a great day.